TheAngryHoneyBadger.
Hey everyone, it is TheAngryHoneyBadger here, and it's time for us to take a look at another champion build video today. We are going to be playing as Nocturne. We will be jungling him, because that's just kind of the best role for him, mostly because of awesome ganks. Surprising ganks, you could say. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover all types of things you might want to know if you want to play some Nocturne. We're going to talk about his runes, his masteries, his items you're going to want to buy, and we're going to talk about his abilities, and maybe just some other stuff as we go through this game. We obviously started at red buff, so we could go towards top lane first. Keep an eye out over there if we can do that. Obviously, to the enemy jungler probably started at his blue buff, and then you can meet up at top if the enemy is up there too. I'm going to throw down a ward 2 in that tri-bush to help my top laner a little bit in case he needs some vision of the enemy jungler showing up. But the first thing we're going to do in this build today is we're actually going to talk about abilities so we know what we're talking about. So let's go ahead and start off with Nocturne's passive. That is his Umbra Blades. Every 10 seconds, Nocturne's next attack strikes surrounding enemies for 120% of physical damage, and it heals him for a bit as well. This amount will increase every 6 levels, and Nocturne's basic attacks, it will actually reduce the cooldown of this by 1 second. So the more you attack, the faster this comes up. So if you have some more attack speed, you get your passive more, which also helps you with clearing camps. So there's a lot of things we're going to do in this build to help us clear camps really, really well. And yeah, it's going to be fun. All types of fun. So we're going to help try to do some ganks, but we really want to farm a lot early on because the first item we're actually going to be going towards is the Feral Flare, or Wriggles Lantern, which builds or transforms into the Feral Flare. But we'll get to that in a second and talk more in depth about the Flare. Next, though, at level 1, we put a point into our Dusk Bringer. Now that is our Q ability, and that, you're going to throw out those shadows. They're going to deal damage. It's pretty nice. It's going to leave that trail, too. When you're on that trail, you will move faster. If it hits an enemy and collides with them, they actually drag it out, so you can just kind of catch up to people really nicely with it. So you get around a little bit quicker. It's pretty awesome. Increased movement speed's always good. And yeah, if you're on that trail too, I believe you increase damage as well. So that's your Duskbringer. We're going to max that out first. It is good, helpful, and everything you ever wanted, really. At level 2, we put a point into our Shroud of Darkness. Now what this does is passively, Nocturne, he's going to gain attack speed passively. And when you activate this, it's going to create a magical shield for 1.5 seconds that will block the next enemy spell that hits him. If it blocks that, you get passive attack speed is doubled actually for the next 5 seconds. We're going to max this last, but we want to point in it early for some of that, for that just initial passive attack speed, and to block spells in case we need to do that. So that's what we're doing. At level 3, we put a point into our Unspeakable Horror, which is your E ability. What happens here is you basically put, those two little lines on that person. Looks kind of funny. It looks like you're casting. It looks like you're, what do you call the dudes? Puppeteer? That's what it looks like to me. Anyways, whatever. You're going to do that. You're going to cast that on them for 2 seconds. If it goes off, if they stay in the range of it, what will happen is it will fear them for 1 second, all the way up to 2 seconds, depending on how many points you have in that ability. And honestly, they have impaired movement as well. But it's really, really nice. Fearing somebody, obviously, they can't really do anything about it. So, yeah, we're going to max this out second to get the increased time on it, so we get the full duration of, of getting all that fear damage, or fear, so we can deal more damage. So that is your E ability. Pretty awesome stuff. And then you have your ultimate, which I'll put points in at level 6. That's your Paranoia. You're going to reduce the sight of all champions on the map. You can do it for 4 seconds. This includes champions, minions, wards, towers, blah, 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 clairvoyance. Nothing can see through it. Then you can launch yourself towards the enemies if you are in range of them, and you will deal damage coming in. It's basically a ridiculous gap closer and ganking tool. We will use it a few times this game. What you do to activate it is you just hit R, and then when you see the target, you just hit R again, and then you go flying towards that target if they're in range. Once you do that, you usually want to come in. Typically, you're going to want to have your soul or your Shroud of Darkness may be ready to pop because they're going to probably try to do something to either stun you or get away from you, so you can block that. You'll get that increased attack speed. Make sure you cast that Unspeakable Horror right away on them too, because that is going to fear them, and you can chase them down with your Dustbringer and deal damage with them. So, or to them. So that's pretty much what you're going to do when we come lunging in with that ultimate. That would be ideal. We're going to be getting to some fights finally soon. It's level 10. We actually haven't really done anything. No ganks have really panned out. We've helped cause some pressure. We are going to find Nidalee as she's warding. We will get the fear off on her, deal some damage to her. We have red buff as well, and we're going to get our Twitch a kill. Pretty helpful. Going to get an assist, and that assist does go towards my Feral Flare because now that kills and assists help go towards stacks. You don't have to worry too much. Now, I buy Feral Flare on Nocturne because... oh, there's the ultimate. There comes the fear and the avoidance of one attack. And we're just going to murder off Ziggs because we can. It's super fun. But I buy Feral Flare on Nocturne. I honestly, there's still a few champions that do fine with Feral Flare. And I think Nocturne is probably one of the best that does good work with it. One reason is because he clears camps very, very quickly because of his passive and the just attack speed and all those fun things. We're going to get to another little fight. We're going to just, you know, fear, a couple standard attacks, pick up another kill on the enemy Zed. So, pretty simple. That fear is very, very nice stuff. But like I was saying back about Feral Flare, he clears incredibly well, and you can clear super fast with Nocturne. So because of this, you can get your Flare transformation pretty quick. There's still a few other champions that do it well too. If you obviously don't want to take the Feral Flare just because you don't like it, don't worry about it. Don't just worry about only farming your jungle though with Feral Flare, because it now gives you those stacks when you do get an assist or a kill. It's still worth ganking. So go gank at some lanes too. Don't let your lanes suffer because of it. So that would be unfortunate if like you let your lanes completely lose out just because you want to get your stacks like maybe 1 minute faster. That's going to be way worse overall than you getting your stack 1 minute faster. So pay attention to your lanes for sure. But you know, obviously you're going to work towards your flare. And typically most games go past like the 30-minute mark. An average league game's like 32 minutes. Typically you'll get your Feral Flare if things are going well in about 18 minutes. If it's going slower, it'll take you maybe 25. You'll still get the transformation, and it's just not a huge deal, so don't worry about it. But once again, there's not a ton of champions it works on super well nowadays, but Nocturne is definitely one of them. Another thing we're going to do to help speed up clearing, we bought a Tiamat recently, and we do have our boots. We went with Merc this game just because we want to deal with a little bit of their magic damage, and tenacity is also helpful. But Tiamat, as we have that little portion of it that will build into the Hydra, very helpful. Here we're going to dive in on Ziggs. He's going to get a little distance between us, but we will throw out that Q. It will hit him, so we'll stay on this trail, be all sped up, and have that increased attack speed. And we're just going to hit him twice and kill him. We have a lot of attack damage. This is kind of a carry Nocturne, focused early, and then we will begin to tank out as this game progresses along. So we can bring some early damage and not really have to worry too much. And you're kind of safe to do some early damage. Here we're kind of zoning Caitlyn out so our team can get over to her, as I then find Tryndamere, who tried to help save her life, but she's going to get killed. And we're going to continue to actually chase towards this. I think we're finally going to slow it down, maybe? No? Nothing? No, nothing happens. Sad day. But you can kind of do more damage early because that fear, since you're not really in team fights too often, that fear is going to keep you alive just because they're not going to deal damage to you while that's happening to them. Here, we're going to get a heal used by our Yasuo, which will speed us up so we don't have to use anything else to get to him. He's just going to kind of bait this now and kind of just get away. I'll finish off Ziggs. We can pick that kill up for the team. Now, let's talk about runes a little bit. There's a couple different options that you really do have with Nocturne. Now, because his attack speed gets his passive up more often and you can probably clear quicker, there's two different choices I would take for my marks. You can either do attack speed or attack damage. Both I like. I usually run just the attack damage. The attack speed ones are fine, but I like the attack damage ones. And then for your seals, we're going to go with armor seals. Magic resist per level scaling glyphs. And then for our quintessences, I like to take movement speed. I like movement speed on almost every single one of my junglers. It just makes ganking slightly easier and chasing slightly easier. It's the difference sometimes between having to take that one extra tower hit because you're able to kill him a little bit quicker because you could standard attack him sooner. So here we get a good hook coming in from the Thresh. we are going to move in and try to fear the Nidalee. She's going to flash out of range. We can keep chasing this, though. Now we have Yasuo on his way. And we're just going to keep slowly moving in. This is 4 of us. I'm going to go with the ultimate, try to get them to either come back to help. Here, their Zed does move down, though. We do pick up the kill quick, though, on Nidalee. And an assist on top of Zed. We're going to go move over to Caitlyn. We're going to actually flash. She's dealing some damage. We're just going to barely get out of range as they finish up the rest of the team. And a pretty successful gank. I believe we only lost the 1. So, pretty helpful stuff. We're doing really good so far this game, too. Now we're 5-0-3. But what we have just done with our next item is we didn't finish off Hydra yet because we want to... The initial damage you get, yeah, we didn't finish off Hydra yet because the initial damage you get from Tiamat is really good, and we're not too worried about the rest of it quite yet. But what we're going to do is pick up the Randuin's Omen. A lot of health with it, a lot of armor with it as well, and its unique passive that we can use when we ult into a team, and we can just slow everybody from running away, which will actually hopefully let us land our ultimate, or not our ultimate, our passive damage on them better too, because, you know, that AoE damage from the passive is pretty, it hurts a lot when you build some damage, so you gotta be careful with that. Here I am actually gonna be getting chased, kind of in a not awesome situation. The rest of my team is coming up though. I'm just gonna try to use that to get some speed up. Here we will get enough distance between us because our team's gonna come in dealing some damage. I do notice though that Zed is rather low, so I'm actually gonna use the ultimate in on him, use anything I can, and just blow him up quick. I know I have damage, so I'm not too worried. I can do a good 600, 700 damage in about 2 hits because of just all the other initial damage coming in too. So we turned that around. If they would have caught me a little bit sooner, I probably would have died, and they maybe would have been able to turn on the rest of the team, but because the team showed up and kind of focused pretty well, we were able to turn that around on them. So, and that'll allow us to secure, you know, another mid turret and then also another dragon, which will give us a good gold advantage in the game right now. We almost have that coveted 10,000 gold lead, which, as most people know, once you get 10,000 gold ahead, that is almost impossible to come back from. Almost. Not impossible, but it's close. So we are going to continue building. We picked up a little bit of magic resist this game, and that's going to be obviously helpful. We need to get that tankier side now because we do dive in with our ultimate. You can't just go straight damage. You will cause yourself some problems later on in the game, and you'll maybe hurt somebody a little bit, but you can't really blow everybody up. So that's kind of a problem. So what we're doing now is we're building that, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Masteries. Now, there's 2 choices to this now, depending on how you like to play your junglers and how you like to play that role. You can either do the 21-9-0 or the 9-21-0. When I'm doing this with the Feral Flare, I go with the 21-9-0. We go with a little bit more of the damage in the offensive tree because we want to clear. We want to deal that damage early. Nocturne has actually decent ganks early, to be completely honest. I know a lot of people don't see him ganking until he hits 6, but if anyone is pushed, he can gap close pretty quick as long as he lands his Q, his Dustbringer. And then the fear, you know, it's gonna, if you can get it off, you're either gonna force them to flash, which will help your laner out because then the enemy won't have flash and he'll know that and he can use that to his advantage, or you can get that fear off and you're gonna, you know, fear him and kill him. So here we're gonna come in on bottom. They actually decided to try to split push this while we were having our advantage up in top lane. I'm gonna move in though. I think I can solo both of them, which there's that trail of that Dustbringer giving us enough room. I'm gonna go ahead and take out Caitlyn. She is a superior threat over Nidalee right now, and then I can finish off Nidalee. So pick up the double kill. Make sure you focus the person who is going to be dealing the damage to you. If you go for that Nidalee first, yeah, she's a little bit harder to chase too, so that would have just been a bad idea. So we had to take care of Caitlyn, get rid of her damage, and then we could continue forward by taking out Nidalee. And we did have a little bit of our next item, but we'll finish it off now. Now, this is one of those interchangeable items. I always say this most of the time in a lot of builds. You can either get the Banshee's Veil or the Spirit Visage. Now, the advantages to Banshee's Veil would be, in fact, the crazy health regeneration after you get hit, and then you also do have its passive that has the spell shield. So then you kind of have double spell shield on Nocturne. So the Banshee's Veil is a good one. The other good thing I do like about Spirit Visage is it gives you that increased healing because we do have some lifesteal in our kit, which is going to help us now with increased lifesteal because of Spirit Visage passive. And then it also does have a little bit of what I like, which is the cooldown reduction. And the cooldown reduction is awesome because it's going to allow us to have our ultimate and everything up more often. And his ultimate is on a fairly-ish long cooldown, so it's rather helpful. So that's what we're going to do with that. So either of those is a good choice. Pick your poison. And then as for our last item, apparently I was going to build something with crit chance. Either maybe I was going to get something to push with. Maybe, since we have like the most farm in the game. I don't know. Probably safely a Guardian Angel is the way to go. And or attack speed's good too. Obviously, there's a lot you could do. Really, the core build is what we have right now. It's pretty impressive damage, really, and there's still a good amount of survivability with the rest of your items. So that's what we like to do. So yeah, like I was saying, you can still gank early with Nocturne. A lot of people think it's not really a thing. You totally can, and you need to exercise that because you totally can. It's not difficult. Here, the rest of the team's getting a big fight as we're kind of split pushing. We need to get Hoyt the pentakill. So I'm gonna dive in deep and go after this Nidalee, but she is gonna BM and not allow us. So tried to dive it, wasn't gonna happen. But then he unfortunately gets shut down by the random spear. So only the Quadra. But we'll be able to close this game out in just a second. If you need more magic resist, you could always pick up the Maw, pretty helpful item. Or if you wanted the Wit's End as your last item for more attack speed, not a terrible idea. So those are a few options you can do with that there. But yeah, that's pretty much Nocturne. He's really fun. He's a really strong champion right now too. I think I mentioned it a few months ago before this build that he was being underutilized, and I think Feral Flares kind of made him step his game back up. So pretty helpful item on him. He clears pretty quick. I got it pretty fast this game too. So if you have any questions, put them down below. Obviously everything is in the description as well, and I'll just see all of you guys in the next build video. We're getting into a little bit of a fight here. Now, the rest of our team is coming in. Thresh is actually baiting this really, really well, and I kind of have them trapped on the exit. So now as they try to escape, as Vi moves in, I'm going to be able to pick up a quick double kill on Ziggs and on Gragas, and then pick up an assist on Tark